George Quasha performed at the 20th annual Subterranean Poetry Reading this summer, which takes place in the Widow Jane cement mine in Rosendale, New York. And he was one of the performers. He did axial drumming with this wonderful LED text thing in the dark, in the cave. It was just completely magical. So when he said that the text that he was using was going to come out in a book, and actually it's going to be a large project over several books. I was really excited to have him come and read. So the book is here, or a few copies from Spain, which is phenomenal. George is generously reading for us today. Welcome.
This is the book in question. It's called Verbal Paradise, a modest title. The subtitle is Preverbs because the preverbs is the overall project. And I have to say one or two words or more about what that means. The project has been going on for 13 years. And it started as a kind of a reflection on Blake's Proverbs of Hell, which probably everybody knows. Anyway, the Proverbs of Hell have about they're proverbs that have been turned inside out and upside down. And that also contain principles like no bird soars too high if it soars with its own wings, kind of a principle of self-regulation like that. And so I thought, okay, let's see if I can extend that way of writing. But it quickly sort of took a kind of aberrant path of its own. And over the years, at a certain point there was 4,000 of these. And I couldn't organize them, I couldn't do anything. So I had to sort of wait. And over the years, I kept rewriting them and allowing them to organize themselves. And actually, only in the last few years have I understood how that could come into a meaningful organization. And I cannot explain it. It's something that happens sort of spontaneously, intuitively, by field. And so the preverbs are like, I don't know, it's sort of like people who have been on retreat. And when they come out, they don't know how to talk to other people. And then they learn, gradually you have to get your coffee, and then, your desires come back that you've managed to live without for a while, and you get into conversations. And that's what happens with the preverbs. They get into conversations with each other, and then they establish something like sequence. But it's more like who got in line first or something, and they're all going to the same movie, than that they actually, I don't know, that's not true. Actually, anything that I say about them is false. And also, by the way, they cannot be read aloud properly. So what you're about to hear is an approximation of an impossibility. And furthermore, any reading of them is a singularity. That is to say, there's no right way to read them. That's the problem. They're axial, which is my term for things that have an intrinsic principle of variability. So they adapt to your mind as you read. But if you read them another time, they'll adapt to your mind another way. And that's sort of how it happens. So, and I'm not this is the book, but I'm going to read from little typescript so that I'm less likely to screw it up, but that's no guarantee. Just because I can see the words doesn't mean I can say them. So what I'm going to do is read. They come together in what I call complexes, poem complexes, preverb complexes, and those complexes have names. The first one is called This Is Not What You Think. And each of the sections, it's then in sections which occupy a page. That's how the field forms, as a page. And each of those has a sort of title. But they're not titles. They're just there where titles are. I don't know. It's ridiculous to try to explain this. So, okay. This is not what you think. 1. Thinking map. Words hold back. Stones crave falling. The tongue is a killer. A line thickens across the page. This is the map to a land trapped underhand. Beings are marked by what you do. My life is on this line. Think right through. Take the stone sitting on a volcano. Translation is further saying, do you read me? Seed sees. Mind catches what it can't yet think. Contact with the pure element shows in its speaking at all. This is between everything, but especially between us. Words hiding take the rap for what is pushing through. 2, surface tension. Unique senses one-way street is both ways from the beginning. Let it rip crossing. Why attract resenting? Imagine the woman she is beyond herself. Poems want to read back to themselves before thinking about them. Future postponed, grammar's hidden tense. What you hear is the whole surface talking in the sense of one, at once. Self-agreement is not requisite for singularity. Identity is a variable. I multiply in ways it can be said to be itself straightforwardly on the curve. I want to use the word overarching in such a way that you sense yourself crossing. The view may be characterized as from above and down within at once. Question of art would be the art of the question, if only. Sadly, words contract spoken ills. When the coil fails, seed spoils. 3, tongue within bounds. What is written to be read backwards is complete from the start, unendingly. If I talk to the dog who talks to me, who's talking to you? Poetry is the language saying what it knows when no one is around. Own it, and then some. I thought to my other, where's my bone? No good word will do everything you say. You think you know the middle, only to discover it knowing without you. No one knows how to be here. It's cold without. Feel my mind. The subject multiplies in the end, through which it flows along this line. I'm on my way out. Feel free to join me. They don't serve good coffee in hell. 4, minding saying. No one knows how to be. Invaginate the object catching hell inside, bright, 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 bright. Being instrumental, I am listened through and through. Isolate me further in this moment between. I can still hear in her eyes, welcome to the precarium. Landslide, a hard habit for stones to break. Gravity needs all the levity it can get. Who's winning in the war against good and evil? Words wear our shame of showing. Feeling lost makes me rush ahead. Living denial outlives refusal of its own. Most truly said, the mind can't get around it. Her flower budding destabilizes a world, word by word. The unimaginable is beyond bad. These words don't have what it takes to say what you're thinking. Not now, but not ever. 5. Skipping truth like a stone on water. A proverb is a one-line paragraph condensing a world to access. Self-secret art keeps it secret from the artist till the deed is done. If not now, never not now, is not now not a variable? I return to the thinkable for the best I can be in vain. Many a line is lines of the many, all by itself. Why no longer, when touching this spot, enters the body at large? Reference to present action proves thinking is so local, it's hyper. These words are not being honest. Poetics is the honest man's paradox. The work is elsewhere. The sense is otherwise. In poetic discourses, words run about like discus throwers gone feral. Honestly, truth or dare, it comes to the same. Cuts the airy way, a vast world of delight. Never forget, words remember what you do to them. Accordingly, own up to continuous retroactive transformation, starting now. 6. The story goes on without me. Resembling waves, differing saves. Falling asleep reading proves waking in the middle unendingly. Proust, onomatopoeia, or La vida es sueño. I still hear in her eyes, this is shaky entitlement. Light the magic lantern to see what thou lovest well. Words retain at their own risk. Step back to hear where. Thinking to dreaming, back and forth, forth and back, crack of dawn. Self-catching stones, self-stretching tones, half-reaching alone. How do you know it here, but it notices itself before you? Forgotten modality of misplaced cartography, or rather, reading is not yet. In cursive bounding line, shapes on the other side of seeing. What? Lost pure lands folded inside said words. 7. Language speaking for itself is the only one speaking for all. I write with this pen on a big stem. Words say too much to let you know the truth. Walking, looking for a world, is empty with clutter. Any turnings into. Locomotivation produces its own ecology, steady as she blows, exotic energy storage device. I can say nothing that isn't heard. A stone sounds the space it grounds. Substance inside substance is seeing what is. Seeding sees. The poem is what it is until it changes. Now it's the same. 8. Mind battery. The point so hot it turns center bound. Organism wants it to home in on. It is the title it's so discriminantly entitled to. Seasoned words do not give up their hard-earned truth willingly. Burying treasure for later poetic living is piracy. written in, scratched in, rubbed into, scrubbed in through to. Between you and me, between everything, between itself. The dream is talking to itself within hearing. And here it goes again. Pirate poetics, strange attractors at large at sea, willing to take all. Ride the edge until the horizon breaches. The sadness of words is to live what you say. Telling the heart breathes. In 0 point, connects direct. Being sounds, language resounds. Words on their way out catch in the throat. Barely free to sing along the same line. Unending bounds. Truly inside the map, you're there already. First one. If you're not over the top, I'll read one more. Sorry about that. That stuff is hard on the body. All right. Holding you at a distance, which is, I guess, what these poems are doing. There's a word used in here called, which is needs to be explained because it's not necessarily hearable as what it is. Simim. I don't even know how to pronounce it, actually. Which is basically, just a semantic unit, sort of a minimal unit of semantic meaning. Actually, a seam is the minimal unit, and then a simim is sort of a bigger unit, and then that's part of well, there's a whole list of eames that you can go down to. I get up to what I call gnosim. If you go all the way to the top of the seams, you get to gnosim, which is gnos as in knowledge, gnosis, mind. Gnosim, it'd be the minimal unit of absolute knowing. Yeah, check that out. That's good stuff. I like that. It's illegal, but you can use, don't tell anybody I told you about it. Holding you at a distance. 1, refusion. My mouth says these words that they be seen. Simims heat up as they wake up. Saying with night eyes is further seeing. I lose track dreaming of whether I'm reading the poem or it me. Fear of the text. Is that not the strangest root of poetry? Dream refuses. Press unknowing into bosom until unknown milk a darker saying. Lips read with gentle suction. My present state of syntactic confusion tells my dream it's still raging. Exhausting reading gets the mind home early. Never to bed, ever to rise, wake eyes in the sky with diamonds. 2, wedge. Air palpates the words that fit her lips. Thought struck, mind fled, heart played dead, poem burst like swamp birds. Feeling true. Who was it never taught me how? Life is doing all the talking, and time is here to listen through. Time to speak at the inner edge. I see through to you. So I drag along the story so long. It longs. 3, swallow. It's all about to have been. A mouth-ready manifestation of soul has undertow historical. I listen with my ear to the ground till the line slips out from under. Close up, her working mouth was in surround sound, slow. The poetic reflex reads back to get it straight. Along the long road, lengthening the long word sounds as the saying waves. Logos flaps in bios, as when the pistol spreads and calls you in. Lingua. Flower attracts hour. This is visual. 4, seminal role. The word itself feels satin. History trembles, breaking views. A vigorous cigar waves its virile tail reading right to her spot. Hardly surprising poetic justice lies true. Languishing, 9 little Finnegans all in a row. Hear the quaking muse. What flies understood wakes. It's moving under the breath. This is spoken none too soon. Hercule Poirot, snapping synaptic fact-finding. Seeming memes hot. When the thing in the mind gets going, it verbs and whirls. What populates particulates. Wake a word today, none other will do, or is true. 5, paradiddle warbles. Forget it's me altogether, that's not half difficult. Anything less than invited is aggression. Can you feel the cool breeze riffling through the letters to speak? I'm in no mood for preconditions to meaning. Everything teaches basic reading. Garden is no kind of noun. La vida es baño. We fly free out here. Translation requires clearing through to the other side. Living waters, etim plies, waves. How the life of the ludic mega seems mimic, yet isn't. Inflowing on and to and fro. It scatters in the breeze. Rhythmus, letters, lingualingus, matters to mind. So let's not bother trying to take anything back. Won't go. Dream further. Paradise is verb. 6, lingual qualia. Nor predict the dictive, as is, word of first saying, only time ever. Wherefore the word announces itself before it's even thought, well, as. Swallow before declaring. Slices right through. Are you ready for the coming lingualia? All the while the lips trap a tongue tip, talking a word away. This is just to say. 7, night's ignition. I'll spot you 100 hot words. A tongue flames blue, burning to listen. The purpose of poetry is to put you back on the spot. Sloping indicative, the glisten gardens, sacred breach, Delphinus interruptus. The way the true center of a line gets hot is self-secret. Eight, open flat hands circling gaps. I'm poking my nose across a darkened line to get feedback. It is vital I hold you at a distance. Words, get a grip. Drr, 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 sounds afield. History pushes at the lips from within, and it has spin. Hyperresonance. Wherever they die, too, escapes not our listening through. Rustling here and there, ruptus, pattern racket. Some secrets are waiting to break out. Scare, the poetics of exposure. May her golem appear. This is the turnout of lost time and the long term down under. Das Ding sounds like itself and more, for the thing told true has a mystical ring. Rebrand the lived stock, so to say, and catch the strays. The darn thing can turn up anywhere. Music of the fears. Poem. No need to lose your composure. Terminal Logos Paradisos, like home on the range, has a long range ring. 9. In seminal sememes. Noetic bird hears two high notes winging in a breeze. These. Joy translates itself in slip or flip of tongue. Find your sway. Ask what it says, but don't spill it. Not to breathe with forked lung. There, poetry's a two-way mirror. Life, line, intersects, line, deflects. Breaking through all over. Gnosemes, hotter yet. 10. Honor the clamor. Find your spot in the line, says Don Juan or some other wand wave. Not ahead of its time, on time, like nothing other. Blue bird flung from uncertain verbal knots. Song of sextants, torque tongue to sing. New phonemes bound the sensorium, leaping from on high. Eyes claim body in slow-mo flow, down low. Learning on the curve, swerve straight, mind with a view. 11, twice told. Play hard, sleep hard. Ground swells, underground tells. Reading. This mirroring two-way, a side looks back, one sees through. Everything births when a line moves through you. Like tracks, lack tracks, to see back. Many words to go before a word wakes empty. Any line spaces at the threshold. Self-true reading strips a text bare. 11 bis. Fuse me back to her, the better to hear. Blue light sprung from a certain verbal spot. Work with no principle of ending teaches readiness in dying. She lives. This is the very distance withholding. Okay.